What's that noise, BG?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe it's a gorilla.
Mom! Mom! There's a gorilla in the attic.
It's not a gorilla, sweetie. It's your father.
Dad's making a lot of noise. What's he doing up there anyway?
He's getting the camp bed down. Aunt Alice is having her apartment redecorated, so I said she could come and stay with us for a few days.
And sleep over?
Uh-huh.
This was big. I always loved a sleepover party. And who better to have one with than Aunt Alice? Woo!
And they lived happily ever after. Good night, PG.
Oh, I bet that's her now.
PG, Georgie, give me a hug. Oh.
I couldn't wait. Aunt Alice had only just arrived, and already I wanted it to be bedtime.
Hi, Alice. Come on in.
I'll take Aunt Alice's bag upstairs, Mom.
Thank you, BG.
I want to help.
I'll do it myself. Aunt Alice is going to sleep in my room with me. So I'll take her bag upstairs. I brought your bag upstairs, Aunt Alice.
Thanks, Sugarlet. I just love sleepovers.
Me too.
Then from what your mom just told me about tonight's sleeping arrangements, I'd say someone's in for a real treat.
Really? I better go tidy up my room.
Whoa! Did I hear BG say something about tidying up her room? Amazing.
This was going to be the best sleepover ever. I had to make sure Aunt Alice would be comfortable.
What are you doing, BG?
Making room for my very special guest.
Oh. Oh.
I was talking about Aunt Alice. Dinner was taking forever. I couldn't wait for it to be over. I wanted my sleepover to begin.
Delicious. Who wants another slice of pie, huh?
No! Too much sugar is bad for you? Let me clean away the dishes.
Huh? First her room, and now the dishes? You should come over more often.
Yeah, come on, sport. Time to brush your teeth and get into your PJs.
Well, the dishes won't do themselves. Come on, sis.
Why don't you go upstairs and get ready too, Sugarlet? It's almost time for bed.
Yes! I couldn't wait. It was time for my sleepover party with Aunt Alice. There was so much to talk about. I figured we'd be up all night. Excuse me, I'm expecting company.
I know. Me.
What?
I'm your sleepover buddy. Isn't that great?
That's not how I would have described it. I didn't want George to be my sleepover buddy. I wanted it to be Aunt Alice. Dad, I wanted Aunt Alice to sleep in my room.
We thought it would be better for George to sleep with you so Aunt Alice could have some privacy.
What about my privacy?
It'll be fun having your little brother stay with you. Give it a try.
This wasn't fun. This was an invasion. There was no chance that Aunt Alice would stay with me as long as George was here. He had to go.
Hey, that's my bedtime music.
Sorry, but we have rules in my room. Rule number 1, my room is a bedtime music-free zone. You can always ask to change rooms if you don't like it.
That's okay. I like it here.
Rule number 2, I like my music loud. George hated loud noises. I knew this would get rid of him.
I like this. Whoa.
BG, turn that music down. On second thought, maybe I'll just borrow this for the night.
Not only had George invaded my room, but now I'd lost my CD player. This called for desperate measures.
Sounds like you're having quite a party up there.
Called for desperate measures.
Sounds like you're having quite a party up there.
Mom, I'm worried about George. He usually goes to bed a lot earlier than I do, but we're having so much fun. I'm afraid he's going to miss his bedtime.
I'm sure it won't hurt Georgie to stay up a little later.
No, BG's right. It's a school day tomorrow. I don't want George tired and cranky. I know. BG, you can go to bed at George's bedtime. That way, you'll be in good shape for school tomorrow, too.
Huh? It was all going wrong. Now they expected me to go to bed at the same time as a baby? I was not about to let that happen. I wish you could sleep over every night, George. Really, I do. But I'm worried about Albert.
Albert?
Albert doesn't know Aunt Alice, and I'm pretty sure Aunt Alice doesn't have any pets. What if something bad happens?
Time for bed, kids. Say goodnight to Aunt Alice.
I want to go to my room.
My plan had worked perfectly. George was out. Now all I had to do...
Now Albert can sleep over too.
The more the merrier, I always say. Nighty-night.
It'll be a real sleepover party.
This was the worst sleepover ever. Now I was stuck with George and Albert.
Tell me a bedtime story, BG.
No, go to sleep.
But Albert can't go to sleep without a bedtime story.
In spite of his small size, then tell him one yourself.
Quiet down in there, or I'm going to have to separate you two.
Oh, that was it. Mom had just given me a brilliant idea. I'd finally figured out how to get rid of George. I'm sorry, George. Of course I'll tell you a story. How about The Princess and the Dragon? I'll be the princess, and you can be the dragon, okay? Rawr! It's a bigger dragon than that, George. Rawr! It's the biggest dragon ever! Rawr!
What are you doing out of bed, young man? Do you want to go back to your room?
Yes, you forgot my bedtime story.
Did someone say bedtime story?
I'd finally gotten Aunt Alice in my room. There was only one problem.
And they all lived happily ever after.
I knew I wasn't going to live happily ever after. My last chance for a proper sleepover party was about to walk out the door. I had to keep her there. Aunt Alice, I'm too hot.
That's easy to fix. Nighty-night, sleep tight.
Aunt Alice, I'm thirsty. I was losing her, but how many glasses of water could one person drink?
My goodness, you really were thirsty. Now back to bed.
Aunt Alice, I'm cold.
Hot, cold, thirsty. I hope you're not coming down with something.
Now that you mention it, I do feel a bit funny.
Well, it says normal, but there's no point in taking any chances.
No more sleepover?
Sorry, hon. Maybe when BG's feeling better, okay?
Okay, bye, BG. Maybe we can have a sleepover tomorrow.
You know, I just hate to be alone when I'm feeling under the weather. How about I move in here with BG until she feels better?
Okay. I mean, okay. Okay.
That's settled then. Off to bed.
This was great. I finally had Aunt Alice all to myself. And then I saw George. And that made my tummy feel funny for real. Aunt Alice,
Yes, Sugarlet?
I feel bad.
Is it your tummy?
No, I'm not sick, Aunt Alice. I made that up to get rid of George.
That's okay. George can stay in your room instead of me.
But what I really wanted was to have a sleepover party with you.
Oh, I have an idea.
Good night, Aunt Alice.
Good night, Fiji. Good night, Georgie.
Good night, Aunt Alice. Good night, BG.
Good night, George. Good night, Albert.
Good night, everyone.